everyone. I'm Luke Flywalker, and I'd like to welcome you to issue 37 of SL Aviation magazine. This show is one I've been waiting for since I started doing the magazine. Today, I will be interviewing Mr. Cubey Terra. Cubey is considered by the aviation community as one of our founding fathers. He's a great guy and someone who has put the fun back in SL Aviation for myself and countless others. I have split this issue into two parts. As soon as you watch the interview, be sure to watch part 2, Treetop Flyer. We fly Cubey's awesome new plane, the Atom, with Stephen Still singing Treetop Flyer. Cubey's waiting, so let's get over there. Hi Cubey, and thanks for doing the interview today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, okay. The question of the day, and how do you pronounce your name? I've heard it pronounced Cubby and Cubey and.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Cubby. It's pronounced Cubey.
All right.
I can tell you why too.
Okay.
I used to. Do you remember like years ago when blogs? Everybody had a blog.
Yep.
I used to have one called Cubicle Dweller, and I wrote about working in a cubicle at an office and so forth. And I posted as the Cubicle Dweller, and people started calling me Cubey for short. And so I just brought that with me into Second Life.
That's awesome. You know, I just kind of thought there was a story behind that. I don't know why, but
it's a short story, but there's a story.
Yeah. I just thought there was a reason. I thought maybe it's because the cubes that you built with in here or something, but. No,
yeah, I've had that. Some people have asked me if I play football, if I'm a QB. No, that's not it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just flying your Atom before I came over here, so tell us about that new plane. It's really awesome. And what motivated you to build a plane after retirement, a long retirement?
Planes are my first interest. They've always been my first interest in Second Life, and they have been for, well, that's been over a decade. Let's see how long. I started in 2003, so that's 11 and some odd months. But after my break, after however many years off I took, I logged in last year in the middle of 2014, and I saw some amazing aircraft with realism that I had never seen before. That was my first introduction to mesh. I was just blown away. And I've made a ton of aircraft over the years in Second Life, but my designs have always been short of what I wanted, because of the geometric limitations of prims.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't achieve a realistic plane using prims. You can approximate it, but you can't get a realistic plane.
Right.
So it was the challenge of this. I wanted to learn how people were doing that. I wanted to build my own realistic plane, and so that's what I did. I came back. I taught myself Blender, and that led to the Terra Atom. It's my first mesh plane.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, Blender. I've messed around with it some. It is a bit of a challenge itself just to learn it, but
to say the least. Yeah.
But the price is good. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Because some of the
I'm
others
willing to put up with a few headaches, for that price tag.
Yeah. Okay, I really, like I said, I was flying the Atom just today, and I really like flying it. And tell us about some of the features and how that differs from some of your previous aircraft.
Well, first of all, it's mesh, like I just said. It's mesh. Almost all my planes were built using prims or at best sculpts before. If you put Atom side by side with everything else I've made, you'll see how mesh was exactly the tool I needed to make the plane that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest change. As far as other features, the HUD panel, the control panel,
Yep.
is far more realistic than I've ever done before. It's got I've got an artificial horizon in there now. I've got a vertical speed indicator, and those are things that I never attempted before. The design of them was a bit of a challenge to make them look somewhat like the real thing, while still being in metric. In real life, planes don't fly with metric. It's all in feet, but everything's in meters here. So I did adapt that. And then behind that, there's the math. I'm not a math kind of guy, but somehow I muddled through it and got all those equations done. I got some help from Vetron. I'm sure you've heard of Vetron. She works at Blue Sky Aviation.
Mm-hmm.
Other features, other new features. Oh yeah, my favorite part. My favorite part of the Atom is not the flying. Actually, it's the crashing.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I spent long hours, many hours, working out ways that a pilot can get themselves into trouble. Wing strikes. You can get wing strikes if you hit a prim or the runway if you land wrong. Prop strikes if you come into the runway too steep, you'll bend your prop and blow the engine. Engine failures. Overspeed if you dive too fast, the wings will shear off. So all these things have consequences. So it just makes flying just a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it does, and it stalls out too. I found that out.
Yeah. If you try and go up too steeply with the throttle down at say 60, you're definitely going to crash.
Yeah. It's just awesome. It's just fun to fly. I mean, it flies nice. Crosses sims very well, and
yeah, I kept the. I think there's only 6 scripts in there. I tried to keep the number down as much as possible. And that's really important. Some people just keep adding in scripts, and I used to do this myself because maybe you want a script for particles, and maybe you want a script for moving control surfaces and so forth. But there are actually new function calls in LSL that let me put a lot of things, centralize a lot of the functions into only a handful of scripts, so I can move all the control surfaces without putting a script in each one. So that really saves on those border crossings, because every time you cross a border, the simulator has to transmit all of the scripts and all of the script states into the next sim, and that. More scripts you have, the longer that takes. So that's where the real lag comes from.
Yeah. It's amazing we can even cross a border at all, isn't it? With them.
Sometimes,
when you think about it. Yeah. Okay, what about your role in the development of SL Aviation, and were you the first to build a marketable plane?
No. When I joined in 2003, there was an aviation group called Kazanojin, and they'd been building aircraft already for at least a year, since beta. So no, I wasn't first. The first ones were people like Garth Fairchild. He inspired me. I mean, his planes were simple, but you have to understand that this is before there were any vehicle physics. So what they were doing, they were just taking basic Second Life physics and applying forces and rotational forces all by themselves without the benefit of defining a vehicle. That came later on. So what they were doing was actually in many ways much more advanced than what we're doing now, even though their planes didn't turn out especially realistic. So no, I wasn't the first. Garth Fairchild, Hans Valen, you'll hear that name too. They worked out of Gray Field. The sim name is Gray. That's the oldest airport in Second Life, incidentally.
Yes.
So when I first joined Second Life, they were right there in the sandbox in Morris. That was the starting point in Second Life, and they had their planes, and I wanted to learn how they were doing this. I wanted to make my own stuff. I begged Garth for a flight script, and eventually he relented, and I got my first plane off the ground.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that kind of was my next question that I had. Was your first flight script entirely your invention, or did you have collaborators? So, sounds like.
Right. Well, that first flight script was obsolete by the time Linden Lab released vehicle physics.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was October or November or something of 2003. So my first flight script, it was actually based on the one given to residents in 2003 by Andrew Linden.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the Lindens who developed vehicle physics for Second Life. He was absolutely key to that. So the work that he did basically defines what we do now, what everybody does now, years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you, Andrew Linden. So I started
Yeah.
with his script, and from there I slowly modified it until there's only a couple of lines of the original code. I've replaced everything else, with my own stuff. But I owe my start entirely to Andrew Linden's flight script.
Ah, cool. So, as you developed that script, what were some of the challenges you had to deal with?
First of all, it was incredibly basic. The first script was incredibly basic. It was so simplistic that people now would shake their heads at it. It was primitive.
Uh-huh.
The controls were weird. It flew unpredictably. It couldn't even taxi on the ground. It just sort of leaped into the air from a dead stop without any transition.
Wow.
But it flew. It flew. The challenge was to take that raw flight model and incrementally add realism. Interaction with the ground, so taxiing, interaction with water, crashing into water, because so there's water basically doesn't really exist in Second Life. You can fly right through it unless you define in the script to make it not fly in the water. So interactions with water, speed, variable lift. Each one of these innovations set the bar a little bit higher in terms of realism and fun, until you get what we have today in the most advanced planes. You have the modern flight scripts are pretty complex. So what you see now is a decade of steady, incremental innovations, just a little bit at a time, and everybody sort of seeing what the other person did and inspiring each other to innovate further.
That's really the marvel and beauty of Second Life, isn't it? It really is like the real world.
Sharing new innovations.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really is. And the thing is, you got such a pool of people to draw from all over the world, which really makes it awesome. Okay, what about TCS? I've got a lot of planes with TCS in it, and I think there's some builders still putting TCS in. So, in fact, I used it not too long ago. We wanted to fight on the mainland somewhere, and we used TCS.
It's surprising to me that it's still around. And I guess for people who are watching this video right now, TCS is Terra Combat System.
Yes.
I'm actually surprised it's still around. When I first made it, I think it was 2005 or something, 10 years ago. And all I wanted was something really simple and reliable, something that you could use in a place where you couldn't res bullets, a place where you could dogfight without getting reported or something. So just a sensor that detects the pilot and it relays to the person who was hit that they were hit. That's it. That's all it was at first. I've added a scoreboard since then, so you can do team-based combat. But it's still just dead simple. I think what are the leading ones now? Vice. There's a Vice. I know that's out there.
And
I haven't tried it, but I'm going to. And ICS is another one. That one's the one used by steampunk people with ships and airships and so forth. I've got that in my Merlin, the steam powered airship.
Oh yeah. And
that one's pretty good. It's got you can fire cannons and drop bombs and torpedoes and so forth, and it does localized damage, so you can damage different parts of whatever ship you're attacking. I don't know if Vice does that, but that's definitely something I'd like to get into.
Vice, you got a target on there. I guess you could. I think you can just have one target on.
Really? Well,
plane.
definitely thinking of putting guns on my next plane.
Oh yeah,
So yeah.
guns are cool. Yeah. So the other one's MCE, and then uh, I don't. That really hasn't taken off yet. I don't know. It's kind of proprietary, and they want to keep control of it on a server. It's not like uh, your system or Vice. You just jump in the plane or whatever vehicle, or pick up the gun and turn it on.
Yeah.
And go at it. You don't.
Well,
Have to
the thing about making an open source combat system is that um, if the combat system is open source, it means that it's possible for somebody out there to make a doomsday bomb.
Yeah.
Just res a cube and you click the cube and it kills everybody in the sim immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's open to abuse, but on the other hand, it's flexible enough that people can adapt it to their planes easily. They can see what's going on. They can incorporate the script into their own scripts, so it doesn't have to be a separate thing, and maybe innovate on top of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's it's a balance of things. I prefer the open source option, but I understand why people would want to keep the back end secret so that you don't have cheaters.
Yeah. That's right. You're always going to have them, no matter what you do, but you can keep it under control somewhat. With it, can't you? Okay. Any new projects that you're working on that you can tell us about, or not tell us about?
Well, I can tell you a bit about it. I'm working on a new twin engine plane. I can't tell you much about it because I haven't actually worked out what it is completely.
Okay.
That's the way I work. I sort of sketch things out, and then I go into, well, I guess now I go into Blender and sort of play with shapes and styles. But it's definitely going to be another mid-century retro futurist kind of plane, like Terra Atom, but with twin engines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really enjoying playing around with that design aesthetic. It's something that I was doing when I first built Abbott's Aerodrome. That sort of mid-century thing, a touch of Art Deco here and there, and I really love that era of flight. There's so much to draw from.
Yeah. People
had a better sense of style back then.
Yeah.
Than they do now, I think.
Yeah, there was.
So that's what I've got coming up. If you take a look at my, I've got a Facebook page and I've got my my Twitter feed, and I sometimes post pictures of what I'm working on. So I'm working on that, and I've got paint schemes for the Terra Atom that I'm working on. I've got a couple of those in the vendors already, and beyond that, I don't know. Making a version of the Terra Atom with floats. There's a lot of water in Second Life.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to like float planes, so hey, why not?
It's good when you're on a grid flight and you get a phone call or have to go to the bathroom or something. You can just land.
Yeah.
And then take off again, when you're done. So comes in handy.
Yeah.
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 I still fly your blimp all the time, and
oh yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, how old is that?
That's from 2006 or 7.
Yeah. Okay. Because I came
something like
in
that
2008, and that was like one of the first flying vehicles I bought anyway. So, I've had it. It's fun, and use it for my music show, and can put the panels on the side with the link to the show so people can click on it and get the media player and all. So it's fun, still works well. I've fallen out of it, and it keeps flying, and I chased it across 6 sims one day. Every time I tried to get close, it would say I was too far away, and it'd be the next sim, and I'd go to the next sim, and I finally caught it. I even crashed, went offline one time and come back on, and we were on a grid flight, and I got in with Devin and Deidre and was riding in their blimp, and we come up, and there was my blimp over to the side of it, going into, right on the grid flight, right on path, So,
well, that's the advantage of a slow moving aircraft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's good for touring. It's relaxing.
yeah, it is. I really like it, because you don't have to worry about, keeping on course so much, and you know, uh, planes get there too fast sometimes. Yeah,
And
just
things actually res around you, like
yes,
they'll load and you can actually see what you're flying over.
yeah, yeah,
When you're in a plane, half the time you leave a sim and only, a quarter of it is actually loaded.
yep, yep. That's very true. Okay, anything else you'd like to share about yourself or Second Life Aviation in general?
Well, coming back has been a really positive experience.
Uh huh.
I'm just amazed at what people are doing now with aircraft,
Uh huh.
and everybody's been very welcoming, and that's just fantastic. Um, and I've made, even though I've made dozens of these vehicles, I'm learning a whole new skill set. It's like starting over,
Uh huh.
um, and it's refreshing. This is great. It's a new challenge, and Second Life seems like a new thing to me now. It's
Great.
it's
Yeah.
brought back the magic.
Yeah. Well, good. I think everybody gets, for one reason or another, leaves for a time or gets tired of it, or whatever. But I, for one, am glad you're back, and I know a number of other people are too. I don't know what Second Life 2.0 holds for us, but I guess we'll find out. I hear they're planning on keeping this going, though. So,
Well, as long as I'm interested in flight, I think I'll at least keep logging in. And right now, I'm going to keep on building planes.
yeah. Well, that's
Whatever happens in Second Life 2.0, well, I'll stick with the real Second Life.
yeah, yeah,
As long as it's around, I'll be there when they turn out the lights.
yeah. Awesome. That's good to hear, because I'm going to be here too. I really believe that. Okay, well, thanks. This has been awesome. I really been a long-term dream of mine to have you on the show here and interview you. So I really thank you for all that you've told us today. It's just been very informative.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay.
It's been fun.